Hey everybody, what is going on? Hexlex here, got another Master Duel video for you. Coming at you with some Vanquish Soul Canine. Haven't played this deck in a hot minute, so I definitely wanted to come back to it, and we're going to start with a going second game up against Kewl. And I think really more than anything, this is going to show just how strong Dimension Shifter is, in particular, against this deck. That, of course, being one of the big upsides of Canine Vanquish Soul is being able to play Shifter, which is an extremely powerful hand trap that not every deck is able to make use of. So, fun fact about all the Kewl monsters, they have to go to the graveyard specifically in order to use their effects, right? So my opponent's about to do the classic, Q plus Rotary into Trackmaker. However, if you notice, they're only going to get the Trackmaker effect and no others. That's because, again, Rotary and Q both have to go to the graveyard as synchro material. They're not like the Mitsurugis, right? Where they just have to be tributed, and then the Mitsurugis don't care if they go to the graveyard or banishment. They just say, if this card is tributed, search and then revive this, right? But again, the Kewl monsters say specifically that they have to go to the graveyard. You gotta watch for that. And of course, the nice thing is that Shifter is not just for their turn, it's for my turn as well. So they're not gonna get to use any of their disruption effects on my turn either. End phase, we're gonna go Banish Shifter, summon Magnum Hut, add Caesar Valius, just to get a little bit more advantage in searching. Then I'm gonna normal summon Raisin. They're going to chain Kewl Synchro, which is really good on their part because Raisin, it's right down here on the bottom, so you might not be aware of this, but Raisin actually cannot activate more than one effect in the same chain. You can do two in the same turn, but not the same chain. And my opponent definitely saw what I was trying to go for here, right? Using Raisin to pop Recco so they couldn't get to RS, and I already did have a Dark and Fire in hand. But it's also not going to really matter, because if you remember, RS has to actually banish a tuner monster from the graveyard in order to negate something, and they can't do that. They don't have any tuner monsters in their graveyard. Again, thank you, Dimension Shifter. So we're just going to go Raisin, add the Holly Sue. Then I'm going to threaten the Canine stuff by going a case for Canine for Jokel. They're going to flip up Kewl Synchro yet again, this time adding the Clip, and now they're going to tune, looks like Rotary, Trackmaker, and RS for the back-to-back. Now, this is like the one Kewl card that does actually interact pretty favorably with the banishment, right? They can actually pull stuff out of the banish pile. But even if they can do that with the back-to-back, it's still not going to matter because remember, all these things still have to go to the graveyard to get their effects. So I'm really not scared of this back-to-back at all. It does mess with my levels though, to be fair, so I can't go for rank 5s. Which is obviously why my opponent did it. But I'm also at a stage in this duel where I don't really care about not being able to make rank 5s. Like, I've got Valius, I've got Holly Sue. I'm good to go. I'm very confident. They are going to make a Zaylin, which is going to be a little bit annoying, but really not a big deal. We're going to use Rock in order to we're going to special summon the Dr. Madlove. They're going to chain back-to-back and then Zaylin on Madlove. I'm going to chain Caesar Valius on the Dr. Madlove. So that way, it'll still get negated, but at least not destroyed here. Also, much like Raisin, it's a bit of a shame we cannot use both of Madlove's effects during the same chain link. Otherwise, I could have revealed Dark and Earth and bounced like they're back-to-back here. But we're going to go Caesar Valius effect, and that'll get rid of their back-to-back. And now I can make rank 5s again. Remember, of course, they were not able to negate the Caesar Valius with RS because they don't have a tuner monster in their graveyard to banish. So that is one way in which Canine Vanquish Soul has a pretty good matchup in the current metagame. Shifter, really good right now. Now, granted, Shifter is a card that is limited, so you cannot count on opening it every single time, but it's definitely an advantage nevertheless. Anyway, let's check out our next duel. Another going second game, this time up against Millennium Exodia, like the actual Exodia fusion monster build. Been a long time since I've seen this, but not that difficult of a deck to deal with. And especially not when you open your turn 0 enablers. We have both Izana and Holly Sue here. Looks like they're going to begin with the Millennium Shield, which does activate from hand, so Shield of Millennium Dynasty has made my Izana live. They're going to go Millennium Ankh in order to reveal their Exodia limbs, and now they are going to summon out the Fusion Ultimate Exodia Incarnate thing. Yeah, this one. But most importantly, after activating Millennium Ankh, wherever it went, is it not in the graveyard? Weird. Anyway, after activating the Millennium Ankh, right, they can't summon summon for the rest of the turn, period. Oh, it goes back into the deck, okay. Yeah, but they can't summon, period. So this is as good a time as any to throw out my disruption here. At the end of their main phase, we're going to go Izuna dump Lupus, and then activate the Lupus in order to summon. And then we can use the Lupus effect in order to make our C Xyz Nosh Knight. The Unstoppable Exodia Incarnate is actually very stoppable, because it can only negate spell or trap cards or effects, not monsters. So we can attach their Exodia as a material, and we are good to go. No longer anything to worry about. They don't get to set ultimate, the Fires of Exod or whatever face down. Now, draw phase, we're going to flip up Macrocosmos, which I don't really care about that much. I mean, we are a shifter deck after all. But we can actually answer this Macrocosmos by going into the CXC's Nosh Knight, and then number 104, number C104 can pop a spell or trap card as soon as it's summoned. So that is how I plan to deal with the Macrocosmos. Unfortunately, I made a misplay here. I activated the Nosh Knight effect, just completely brain farting and thinking for some reason that's how you go into the CXC's Nosh Knight. But no, you just click on the extra deck and summon it like that. So I accidentally just end up taking their shield as a material and keeping the Macrocosmos on the field. But I was like, whatever. Normal summon Mad Love, and they just conceded anyway. We already had the Holly Sue in hand, so I probably... Macrocosmos was up. I probably would have just gone for Raisin. We could have gone... Well, Mad Love for Field Spell into, and then Field Spell add Raisin, then go into Rock, Rock Summon. I don't know, there's a million things we could have done, but ultimately wasn't really scared of our opponent and their Macrocosmos. There's a lot of decks, as I mentioned, where banishing all your opponent's stuff is enough to beat them, but we are not one of those decks. Anyway, let's take a look at our next duel. Okay, this time we are taking the first turn. We're going up against Hero. Very, very popular, even still this long after it got its, well, this long. It's only been like a little over a month, right? But still seeing a lot of it on Ranked Ladder here. All right, this going first hand looks pretty solid. We're going to lead with normal summon Dr. Madlove. Already have the field spell, so we'll go for a start. Now here I make a pretty big misplay. I added the Holly Sue. I was supposed to add Xiaolong here, I'm pretty sure. And then that way I'd have access to a fire monster. But I didn't do that, so now I don't have access to a fire monster, which of course is going to be really awkward being on K9 Vanquish Soul, but not game-ending. We can still go Jokul with the Izan on our hand, Izan dump Lupus, now we can go Jokul, add Lantern, then we're going to overlay the two of these in order to be able to summon out the K9 17 Ripper. Now we're going to go Ripper effect, detach Jokul, add Izana for follow-up. Then we can special summon Lantern, going for the Jokul. We're going to activate Lantern's effect in order to add a case for K9. Now we're going to activate case for K9, adding Naroi, again for follow-up. Now we can overlay the Jokul plus Lantern in order to make the Nosh Knight. From here, Nosh Knight gets to activate. We're going to detach in order to place the 104, and then we can stack CXC's Nosh Knight on top, which in turn allows us to activate its effect and make number C104, Umbral Horror Masquerade. Of course, making sure we keep the regular number 104 as a material. Now, Masquerade can pop our case for K9, which can then activate and set the Forced Release, and we'll set Snow Devil and pass. So, again, because I misplayed, we don't have access to the Fire attribute, which again does really matter here between the Snow Devil and the Caesar Valius and the Holly Sue, but it's not the end of the world. Okay, so they're going to go normal summon Stratos. We're going to chain Umbral Horror Masquerade in order to negate. They're going to actually chain Forbidden Droplet, though, sending 3 monsters from hand. Another Stratos, a Malicious, and I believe that was an Ash Blossom? Yep. Which is a little annoying, but at the very least, now I kind of know what I'm up against, right? Like, they only have 1 card left in hand I don't know about. So I'm going to go Force Released on the Ripper. This will let me summon out the Werewolf, and then also pop the Stratos. Now they're going to activate their last card, Fusion Destiny. We can chain Werewolf, get rid of the Miracle Ejector, so they can't follow up with that. And now they're going to just pretty much only have this DPE to work with here. Well, no, because they have Malicious and Denier in the graveyard as well. We're going to have to deal with those two. Here is the Malicious being summoned. And then we're going to activate Izana here. Remember, of course, we also have the Lupus still in our graveyard. I'm going to summon that as well. I think that was actually a little bit of a misplay. I think I should have gone for Holisu and tried to steal first. Because now I don't really have the amount of monster zones to do that, right? And DPE also doesn't target. So even if I go Lupus into a rank 5, they can just pop whatever I summon here. Like I'm going to try to make the Valen, and they're just going to pop it. Yeah, so that's a little bit unfortunate, but not necessarily the end of the world. I'm going to activate Holisu, and then we can summon Holisu F, reveal Dark and Earth in order to take their Malicious. Now, they can go Battle Phase, Denier, Battle over Malicious, Main Phase 2, Malicious in order to revive and continue their combo. But, at the very least, they did give up their Battle Phase in order to be able to do this, right? So that means that I'm not going to lose the game this turn. We don't have to worry about that anymore. They can use Cross Crusader to revive the DPE. Now they're going to go Malicious, Banish in order to summon, Cross Crusader, Tribute Malicious, and add Masked Hero Duskcrow. Duskcrow can activate Banishing Stratos to special, and then summon the Masked Hero Furnace. Now they're going to go Furnace effect, add Polymerization, and discard itself. But I think they really should have gone for Mask Change here, because they can't really fuse any of these into anything meaningful. If they had gone to Mask Change and set it, they'd be able to, on my turn, Mask Change the Duskcrow into Darklaw. Then I'd have to deal with DPE and Darklaw. But here, and I think my opponent realizes because they conceded right afterward, I think they were on like turn 1 combo brain, needing the Polymerization to continue the line if they had more materials to fuse with. But here, again, I really think adding Mask Change, setting it, and passing would have probably been the way to go. But we still have ways around that to potentially, I don't know. Both of us could have played better. I definitely could have as well, for sure. I think I have one more duel left to show you. Let's finish off with that one. Okay, I have no idea what's going on with my opponent's deck. They have Hero, Odeon, and Thunder Dragon cards in one 40-card deck. So that's a thing, I guess. But we'll be going first here. Got a pretty solid opening hand. We're going to go Normal Summon Raisin, activate in order to add, but they're going to fire off an Ash Blossom. Thankfully, we have an Izuna, and we can just activate here. Alright, so here is the Izuna. Ash Blossom negating the Raisin. Now we can go Izuna F, dumping Lupus. We can special summon the Lupus. I'm going to make Ripper now to avoid any more hand traps, hopefully. Alright, so up there is the Ripper. We're going to activate Ripper, detaching in order to add Lantern, as well as setting Forced Release. Now I'm going to link away the Raisin for the Rock. I could use Rock to special summon Madlove here, but it doesn't really do anything because I'm not going to, even if I added Holisu off the field spell, wouldn't have another hero to summon anyway. I did misplay here by not activating Lantern's effect, just completely forgot about it. Missed out on a follow-up Izuna, so basically now I can't make Valen on their turn, but it's not that big of a deal. Just a lot of little things to keep track of, and like I said, to my own credit slash, I guess this is my excuse, you know, it's been a minute since I've played this deck, so it was just a little bit rusty. But anyway, we're going to make the Umbral Horror Masquerade. We still have the Force Release set up, so like I said, in the grand scheme of things, it's really not that different from the regular turn 1 end board. Well, I mean, of course, given that we got our Raisin negated. Okay, now here's their A Hero Lives. I'm going to chain Maxi, to which they are going to chain Called By. So I thought to myself, okay, this is fine. We still have the Draw and Lockbird. I'm pretty sure we only really see the hero stuff from them in the actual game, because I do not remember Odeon or, what do you call it, Thunder Dragon during the game itself. Yeah, so it's Shadow Mist for Mask Change. I'm going to chain Draw and Lockbird. They're going to activate Mask Change in order to summon Darklaw, which is totally fine. I actually don't care at all. As they go to end their main phase, I'm going to flip up the Force Release, and they're going to concede. Because what would have happened there is we would have gone Ripper into Werewolf, Force Release would have popped Darklaw, then if their 3 remaining cards have follow-ups, obviously Werewolf would have then ripped a card from their hand. Not to mention we did still have both Umbral Horror Masquerade and Rock of the Vanquisher active as disruptions as well. So yeah, that's going to go ahead and do it for the gameplay portion. Let me show you my deck list, and then we'll finish things off. Okay, so here is my K9 Vanquish Soul list. One thing I kind of noticed when looking at this deck is it's actually really similar to both Kewl and Draco Tail in terms of how you actually build this deck. All three of these decks, Draco Tail, K9 Vanquish Soul, and Kewl, have the same deck building trend in common that they really want most of your deck to be monster cards. Because in K9 Vanquish Soul's case, we need our attributes, right? Earth, Fire, and Dark to be able to make our plays. Draco Tail needs a critical mass of monsters, including a Draco Tail monster, to be able to fuse with 5 mana consistently. And Kewl, of course, needs to have so many tuner monsters, that way even if they like normal summon Q and it gets Ash Blossomed, they still have a tuner in hand to follow up with to make more plays. I just think that's really kind of interesting how arguably the 3 best decks in the current metagame all really want you to include a lot of monster cards specifically and kind of minimize the amount of spell or trap cards that you're using. That's why in a lot of recent decks I haven't really been playing Imperm as much. It's not that Imperm is a bad card, not by any stretch of the imagination, but again, I wouldn't really ever play Imperm in this deck because of the need for attributes. I don't want to play it in Kewl because of how badly you need tuners, and again, don't want to play it in Draco Tail because you need monsters to be able to fuse with 5 mana. So again, just a very interesting deck building trend that I've noticed. But yeah, as mentioned, you know, obviously we're going to want our disruption to ideally be monsters within our attribute. There's a couple of cases where I make exceptions for some like very powerful hand trap effects, like Fuelos and Droll and Lockbird, but obviously everything else here is going to be Earth, Fire, and Dark, including our hand trap lineup. We also have the Izan and Holly Sue for turn 0 plays. One other kind of tech card that falls within the attributes of Fire, Dark, and Earth I've seen a couple of people on is actually one of the new RB cards. It is, where's the level 5? Here it is, RB Vulcan Rocket. I've seen people play 1 or 2 copies of this in K9 Vanquish Soul. That sounds really, really weird, but all you really need to know is the first effect. If you control no face-up monsters, then you can special summon this card from your hand. It's a level 5 extender that's also fire. It's really the same as playing, where is the Super Quantum Red Layer? This one. It's really the same thing as playing this, but this card's a UR, whereas the Vulcan Rocket is only an SR. So if you want a budget version of this rank 5 extender, again, I would definitely go for the RB Vulcan Rocket. You could also use the Rescue Ace engine if you want some more Fire Ace monsters. That, of course, being the fire attacker summoned out by Impulse, but I think that's still a little bit weak, personally. I really like this kind of lineup here. I think the main difference is that I'm not playing Perulia. Instead, I'm playing Magnum Hut and something else I can't remember. Might even just be the Drolls instead of Perulias. And I took something else out to include the Magnum Hut, but yeah, main deck is more or less the same, and extra deck is also very similar. I think at one point I was playing 2 Ripper. I'm trying out Vanquish Soul Rocks, but this really has not come up for me very often. But again, I haven't really been playing this deck a ton, so maybe if I did play it more, I'd find myself in those like 2% of games where Rocks is gonna like solo win you the game. But haven't encountered that yet. Yeah, I think that's pretty much everything I have to say about the list for now. So, as always, I want to give a huge thank you to not only you for watching all the way till the very end of the video, which is one of the best ways you could support not just me, but any smaller YouTube channel, but of course, we still have to thank our YouTube members and Patreon subscribers for their extra generous support. Let's go ahead and move now to our outro so we can do that. Hey everybody, Hexlex here. Thank you so very much for watching all the way to the very end of the video, which by the way is one of the best ways to support the channel. Speaking of supporting the channel, take a look at the names on screen. These are folks who have been so generous as to either join as a YouTube member or subscribe over on patreon.com/Hexlex to support. There's also perks for doing so. If you would like to see YouTube videos early, as well as some exclusive videos that get uploaded to YouTube, but for one reason or another I decide not to publish, definitely go ahead and hit that join button to see content early, as well as some exclusive content. If you're looking for more exclusive content, over on patreon.com, I upload exclusive videos that are not posted on YouTube just about every single day. Whether you choose to subscribe over on Patreon, join as a YouTube member, or simply continue to watch, your support is greatly appreciated. Thank you so very much. But for now, this is Hexlex. I am signing out, and I hope that you have a fantastic day.